2017 has been an incredible year for open world titles. We've had Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost Recon Wildlands, our beloved The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and with that in mind, today we are discussing the top 5 open world games we want on Nintendo Switch. What's up everybody, it's Zach from Switchforce, joined by Gabe, and today we are putting together our list for the open world games we desperately need on Nintendo Switch. Now bear in mind, some of these probably won't happen, but we are hopeful that with the continued success and the continued sales, maybe Nintendo can work some magic. So without further ado, at number 5...
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
While we don't know the title and we don't know the locale, we know that a new Far Cry is coming. So I think it's safe to say that Far Cry in hybrid handheld home console form would be absolutely incredible. I've been a fan of the Far Cry series from the start, and while they do have some missteps here or there, I think that it would be an epic fit. And I think that the fun of Breath of the Wild and roaming those open areas would again convert over to Far Cry, and open world games in general kind of are a smart fit because you can approach them in more of a bite-sized manner and take on the giant map as you see and with whatever sort of time constraints you may have. Where do you think this next Far Cry could be, and why would you like it on Switch?
I would like it on Switch because, you know, historically Far Cry is a shooter, but it shares so much with Breath of the Wild. You're hunting animals, like in Breath of the Wild, for food. You are also climbing things to uncover portions of the map, like in Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild borrowed a lot from Far Cry, I feel like. So to have Far Cry come over would be really great, especially because I like those stories a lot, especially Far Cry 3. Like, the villain, I mean, everybody remembers that trailer, the Definition of Insanity trailer. That's kind of a classic trailer maybe now, even though it's not that old, so I hesitate to use the Far Cry 4. They kind of went for the same thing with like the very like menacing villain, and it maybe didn't like hit as well as Far Cry 3, but I enjoyed those stories a lot. They do great gameplay, and they know open world design over there, so Ubisoft has sort of mastered what open world games are now. Because every game that they make is an open world one for the most part. So
right, and I would love to see them learn something from Breath of the Wild. I feel like, you know, obviously The Legend of Zelda has far more reverence for its lore and its material than Far Cry. But I think if Far Cry could get a little more serious, I mean, to me, like, as crazy as it sounds, Far Cry Primal was one of my favorites because it removed a whole lot of the story and a whole lot of sort of that like cheeseball, you know. I don't think anyone wants the college kids roaming the island back. So I think that the mechanics are sound, and I think that it can be fun. And while it won't live up to the same critical heights as Breath of the Wild, it would be a great addition. Ubisoft has partnered effectively with Nintendo in the past, and so it's not out of the realm of possibility that this could come. And we'll see a little more of Ubisoft later in the video. But for number 5, I think Far Cry is a great selection. I think it would, again, really fit with the hybrid nature, and boy, would it look pretty on that Nintendo Switch screen.
Yeah, you know, concerns about the 720p nature of the portable-only modes, but they know how to make open worlds, and I, unlike you, kind of like the silliness of Far Cry 3, so I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think it would be... I'm really also just interested to see where they go. You know, we've had a very jungle theme. We've had a very primal, you know, theme. We've had a snowy mountain theme. So where do they take
remember
this?
Blood Dragon. So
yeah, we've had a very crazy Tron theme. So where they place this next one will be very interesting, regardless of console. But yes, Ubisoft, please bring Far Cry to Nintendo Switch. At number 4.
Listen to me. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
This may just be the biggest title of 2017. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a behemoth of a game, bigger than anything else I think left on this year's release list. And the reason it's at number 4 is because of all the titles, this seems the least likely. Rockstar has put some things on the DS before. I don't think they're going to be bringing RDR2.
Shout out to Chinatown Wars.
Yeah, that's a good game. It's a fun game.
I know it is.
I don't think they're going to be bringing the new adventures of the Great Wild West to the Switch, but dang, would it be fun. I mean, possibly more than any of these, this would be like such a win for Nintendo, and it would... the sales of GTA, the sales of Red Dead, the sales of all the Rockstar titles, it would bring such an audience to the Switch, and it would set a very surprising and shocking precedent for what Nintendo is capable of. Probably not going to happen, but the game itself we expect to be, pure greatness. So being able to take it with you anywhere would just be obviously icing on the cake.
Yeah, we're more likely to get the tabletop tennis Rockstar game than Red Dead 2. Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, I understand that Red Dead Redemption was the second Red Dead, but man, I'm interested to see if the continuation of the Marston family happens here in Red Dead Redemption 2. We saw the key art that they released with the multiple figures walking to the sunset. I want to know who all these people are. I want to know where they're going. I want to know what's happening, Zachary. Can you tell me?
There was a plague.
Okay.
And all of the animals have vanished.
Yeah.
And you are now on the hunt to uncover the lost creatures of the mysterious beyond.
What if everybody in that sunset is walking towards the Switch?
They could be. Yeah, Reggie is just doing this like these jazz hands, getting everyone to like come over to him. They're like, "Who is this crazy suited man?"
Yeah, I mean, we wish Red Dead was coming to Nintendo Switch, but again, probably not happening. That's the only reason it's number 4 on the list as opposed to number 1. Like Zach said, this game is probably in all likelihood going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a Game of the Year contender. I would be surprised if it wasn't. So,
and I think just like open world games in general fit so well. Being able to take them with you, I love the fact that I can do a shrine. I love the fact that I can find some Korok seeds and then be done. And I think, whereas some open world titles become monotonous in long play sessions, I think they'd be benefited by Nintendo Switch. So who knows? Maybe Nintendo can work some magic. It's going to take many genies, though, to bring Red Dead Redemption 2 to the Switch.
I will play the head of Rockstar Poker, a la Red Dead Redemption style. Or what was the game? Was it Poker? What was the game that was on there? The card game?
I believe it was Poker.
Yeah, I think I remember it being Poker. I will play you Poker, and if I win, we bring Red Dead over to Nintendo.
There we go. The deed is done. At number 3.
When I was young, it was just my father and I. In his last years, he was obsessed with myths about immortality.
The 2 most recent Tomb Raider titles have been fantastic, and we know that a third is in the works, rumored to be called Shadow of the Tomb Raider. How incredible would it be to bring Lara Croft to the Switch? I personally love these 2 games. I think they're in a really excellent, almost futuristic take on the Metroidvania formula, and I really love the bow and arrow mechanic. We know Switch does bow and arrow so dang well with Zelda. So for that alone, give me that gyro Lara Croft bow and arrow action, and I will be a very happy man.
My only concern is Rise of the Tomb Raider. They had some exclusivity with Microsoft, but now it's available on all platforms. So who's to say that maybe Square doesn't come and make a deal with Nintendo? Again, not super likely, but it would be great.
They have a history. It was a long time ago, but at one point they were, best buds. So perhaps they can work some magic. Again, this is a game that would be phenomenal to take portably. And while all of these are graphically intensive, and so they would see some level of downgrade on the Switch, I still think it could be done. And personally, these games were up for Game of the Year, both of them when they came out. And I really like some of the improvements they made with Rise. And I think that they do a nice job of molding and crafting an intriguing story without being too corny or over the top. To me, it's a better story than like Far Cry. And so this is higher on that list. And I also really like the combat mechanics of Tomb Raider. I think there's a lot of oomph behind the melee. I think the different weapons are really fun to utilize. And there always are some good puzzles and occasionally the paranormal twists that kind of hook you. I did get a little burnt out on the repetitiveness towards the end of Arise, so I'm excited to see if Shadow can take things in a little bit of a new direction. And hey, what better new direction than to put this thing on Switch?
I just want to take it on the go with me so I can do these tombs. Give us more tombs, because even in Rise, like, there wasn't like you know,
They were very small, but they're
Yeah.
kind of like shrines when you think about it.
Yeah, that's actually where I was going with it. So, just equate tombs with shrines and give us something similar, a giant world, you know, an island or whatever, where Lara finds herself stranded once again. She needs to stop getting herself stranded places. But since she likes doing
Strand
it so
herself on the Switch.
yeah, do that.
We will never dock you, Lara. Or maybe we will dock you. She's going to be too afraid if we say we're not going to dock her. We will dock you, and you will be able to return. I mean, plus, like, they have the Tomb Raider movie coming out, and you'd assume that after some of their kerfluffle with the exclusivity, they're going to go back to multiplat, I would assume. So
How nice would it be if multiplat meant Switch?
yeah, that would be fantastic. And, you know, I look forward to Shadow, because I think that they did make notable improvements from 1 to Rise, and I think that then there can be more. And there really was a lot of solid extras packed in terms of some of those side modes. There was that whole sort of card-based survival thing going on. They had some interesting DLC. If this can't happen, though, then give us a new downloadable Lara Croft puzzler. Those co-op games are phenomenal. So let's put an asterisk here.
The top-down ones?
Yes. If we can't get the full-on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, give us one of these. That's totally doable on the Switch. It would be amazing with 2 Joy-Con. I played both of those games co-op. I loved both of them. I think they're excellent. They're very fun. They're fast-paced. They still have really good puzzles. In fact, I'd say they have better puzzles than the full-on 3D, AAA titles. So if we can't get Shadow of the Tomb Raider, give us another Lara Croft.
For sure.
At number 2...
What are you doing? Evening the odds.
Batman on Switch! That's what we need. We don't know, again, where this will take place. There's been lots of rumors, the Damian Wayne thing. There's is it a Justice League game? But in some form, Batman and the beloved Arkham formula will rise again. And all the Batman puns. But let it rise on Switch. Let it send out the bat signal, Nintendo, and make this happen. I personally loved Arkham Knight. That game was
Mediocre.
perfectly tuned to my like.
It wasn't mediocre. It was a good game. I just don't like it as much as everyone else does.
I want to drive the freaking tank Batmobile around
That's the worst.
on the Switch. I love those battles. Something about them were so fun. And I think
You're crazy.
you got the gyro of the Switch. You can do all the detective mode stuff. It's a great bring with you. You can feel like Batman. You could put Joy-Con, third-party made Joy-Con with bat ears on each one.
ears?
Now we're talking. This is good.
That might hurt to use.
No, it's right at the top. It won't poke you.
Oh,
It'll only
okay.
poke if any villains try to come at you and take your Switch.
You hear that, Riddler?
I think that
the
I think this could
Arkham
happen.
series is like so good, and it's so consistently good. Even my least favorite games in the franchise, which is Origins and Night, those are still good games. Like, they're not bad. Just my favorite happens to be Asylum. City is a close second. I think City is the best like open one they've done, because Asylum isn't like technically open world. I think it's more of a Metroidvania with like smaller areas. But I think hopefully they rebound from what Arkham Knight was. I know it's probably not the same team working on this Batman game, similar to Tomb Raider actually. But I hope they can bring it back. And I don't know. I don't care to use a Batmobile.
I personally, I have a fondness for all of them, but for me, Asylum and Night sit at the top, followed by City. There has been a history of Batman on Nintendo platforms. We saw City have its sort of like Game of the Year edition, Armored Edition, I think it was called,
Yes, it
appear
was.
on Wii U. So this is not unprecedented, and it worked fine on Wii U, so they could do it. Yeah, it won't be as pretty as PS4 Pro and Xbox Scorpio when this thing finally releases, but they could do it. They could make it happen, and I think it would be, again, another really big tentpole title to showcase that, hey, the Switch can do this stuff too. The Switch has the arsenal of games that can compete with the other consoles, and what better way than to bring the Batman himself straight to Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for a Justice League game. That's all I can say.
I think that would be really Do you think that you'd play as all, or do you think it would mainline Batman and you just be interacting with the other characters along the way?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind either. Like, I mean, and it depends like what iteration of the Justice League they use. Like, I mean, because there's a lot of.
You assume it would be movie based, or at least
sure.
tied, perhaps.
All right, cool. So if you're going with the current movie ones, then there's 6 members, maybe 7, because there are rumors of Green Lantern being like in the movies, but we don't know that for sure. So 6 members. I don't know. Maybe if it's open world, you're probably going to need to play as Batman the entire time and just interact with the Justice League, or just have them fit into the story. I don't know why. Like, instead of having the villains be like the mainstay and the peripheral characters of the Arkham games, why can't the Justice League just be like in the periphery and have them just be like NPCs, and have
Sure.
Superman give you a side quest instead of like one of your side quests being to like go find Two-Face or something. Like,
Yeah, I think that'd be a really, really cool addition. Now, in the past, they have crafted their own sort of stories and whatnot with the Arkham backdrop. So I would hope that they continue to do that. I don't have a whole lot of hope for the Justice League Snyder storyline, but
Nope.
I do have hope that the teams over there, if it's Rocksteady or if it's another Warner Brothers team,
it probably isn't Rocksteady.
I would like whatever Rocksteady does to be on Switch. But regardless, Batman on Switch would be beautiful. And again, like a great game to bring with you. And all of these, I would pick them on Switch because I could then play them whenever. And I would be able to enjoy. And I, having it portable, I think, to me, encourages me to go for 100%. If Breath of the Wild was not portable, I would have far less incentive to get all of the shrines, to collect all of the armor sets. But the fact that I can bring it with me and use it for those more interim gaming sessions, like that's where all of a sudden now, okay, I want to get 100% on the next Batman Arkham. I want to get 100% on Tomb Raider. And really, I feel like placing open world games on Switch allows you to milk the most out of their game, which is glorious for not only the publisher and the developer, no trade-ins, but also really great for gamers. So we're building quite the case here, Gabe. They need to bring all of these to Nintendo Switch. I think it's a smart and very golden opportunity for these games and for Nintendo as well.
For sure.
And at number 1,
The working class sleepwalks through life, unaware of the machine that drives them. Let's wake them up then, shall we?
I am insanely excited for Assassin's Creed Empire. I think this is going to really revolutionize the franchise and bring things back to the glory that Altair and Ezio once experienced. We have not
I was
had.
about to say, what glory did Altair have?
Well, it was new. It was fresh, and then Ezio sort of took it from him. Maybe I should say the glory that Desmond had, because for a while Desmond was very interesting, and Assassin's Creed 2, by far the best in the franchise, and a really phenomenal game. I think taking the time off for Assassin's Creed is going to do a huge service, and I think dramatically altering the landscape. The very heavily rumored and all but confirmed Egypt location will be a whole lot of fun. And I think it's going to allow them to bring back the mystery, bring back the intrigue, hopefully bring back sort of the dueling timelines. I really enjoyed that in the initial ACs. And again, Ubisoft has partnered with Nintendo in the past. They've brought Assassin's Creed to the Wii U. It's doable. It's plausible. And of all these games, this is the most... I feel like this is the most concretely coming this year. So of all of them, besides it being exciting, besides AC being a franchise that does have some, at one point, a special place in my heart, I think this is the most likely.
Yeah, and a couple of things are going to be interesting. One, the fact that they took the time off to theoretically make the game right, like make it good, because they were kind of going through the paces for a couple years there. I think it's safe to say. With the Assassin's Creed franchise. So hopefully the time to stop and decide exactly what the franchise should be next, hopefully that does wonders. Because I too really love Assassin's Creed 2. And Brotherhood I actually really liked a lot as well. So there's other Assassin's Creed games that I liked, but again, they were going through the paces. The other thing, it's going to be interesting to see which game is going to be the first one to showcase exactly what the Switch can do with games like this. Because yes, Breath of the Wild is pretty, but it's not like super like graphically like intensive, because it's not that realistic. Like the the lighting and like even the foliage of in Breath of the Wild, like it's not something that's gonna like require like a ton of like horsepower, but something like Assassin's Creed would, like the crowds of people, the vast landscapes, like things like that. Like, yeah, you're gonna need to downscale it to 720p, sure, but how good is that gonna look? I can't wait to see who's gonna do it first, because I think once somebody does it and it works, I think after that people will feel more confident. It's just,
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not obviously not a developer, so I don't know how hard it is to make these things happen, but I think somebody needs to make that leap. Do you get it, Zachary? Make that leap. Do you get it?
You are bringing the assassin puns. I brought the bat puns, and now you're right back at us. So yeah, Nintendo, Ubisoft, put something very, very special up your sleeve and stab the gaming industry with a glorious Assassin's Creed Empire on Nintendo Switch. We'd love to see it happen. I really have high hope for the game as well, and that's why it's vaulted up to number 1. Besides being, I think, the most probable, I think it's a game that could be incredibly exciting, and we'll know a lot about the future of this franchise from this game. You know, if it does well, if it feels like the revival we have desired, or if it feels like more of the same and the year didn't do a whole lot. But from some of the people I've talked to, it sounds like it's in a good place, and I would love nothing more than to play this new Assassin, this new location, this new Assassin's Creed on Nintendo Switch.
I have a feeling it's going to be Assassins, by the way.
You do? You think there's going to be multiple?
Well, I think you're going to have a choice of male or female.
Interesting. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look, if all hell breaks loose and the game is trash, at least we'll have hilarious shots of people playing with broken faces on a portable. That's
Assassin's Creed always delivers in one way or another.
Yeah, so we luck out, and really we luck out with any of these games as you run down the list from Far Cry to Red Dead, Tomb Raider, Batman, and Assassin's Creed. Any of these would be a huge get for Nintendo and really add legitimacy to the platform for skeptical gamers, and I think they'd all be super fun and super fantastic fits. So one of these we're hoping, like Gabe said, will open up sort of the dam, and then a deluge of awesome third-party titles will come to our Nintendo mainstay. Until then, though, let us know in the comments what open-world games you want on Switch. What's your top 5? How do you feel about our top 5? Would you reorder them a different way, or would you add something entirely different? Definitely let us know in the comments below. We're curious to hear your takes and why. Which games do you think could really come to Switch? Which games do you want to come to Switch? Let us know all of that. We'll be discussing it with you as well. Until that time, though, for myself and Gabe, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date on the latest and greatest from the Switch, and you'll know first then if one of these actually is announced for the platform. In the meantime, though, everybody have a great day. Thanks so much again. Switch Force out.